Welcome to today's session. In this video, we will break down the fundamentals of pharmacoeconomic evaluation, a key tool used to compare the value of medicines and healthcare interventions. Let's get started. What is pharmacoeconomic evaluation? Pharmacoeconomic evaluation involves analyzing both the costs and the outcomes of healthcare interventions in a structured way. The basic idea is to compare different treatment choices and determine which one provides the best value. This approach is widely used by hospitals, health insurance systems, regulatory bodies, and committees that build treatment guidelines. It helps ensure that limited resources are allocated wisely while still delivering high-quality care. Major categories of pharmacoeconomics. There are two major branches of pharmacoeconomic evaluations. The first includes economic methods, which emphasize measurable costs and clinical outcomes. The second group consists of humanistic methods, which capture patient-centered outcomes like quality of life, personal preferences, and satisfaction levels. Together, these methods give a broad and balanced picture of a treatment's value. In economic evaluation, four commonly used methods guide healthcare decisions. Cost-benefit analysis translates both costs and outcomes into monetary terms. Cost-effectiveness analysis uses natural clinical units like reduction in blood pressure or pain score. Cost minimization analysis is applied only when outcomes of treatment options are proven equal, allowing focus purely on the cost difference. Cost-utility analysis integrates both the length and quality of life using measures like QALYS, making it especially popular for chronic diseases and cancer therapies. Introduction to Cost Minimization Analysis, CMA. Cost minimization analysis is the most basic and straightforward pharmacoeconomic method. It focuses only on cost differences, but this is allowed only when the treatment outcomes of the alternatives are proven to be the same. Once therapeutic equivalence is established, CMA helps identify which option costs less. This makes it especially useful when comparing medicines that work equally well but differ in price or formulation. Examples of CMA. Let's look at a few examples. Suppose two anti-ulcer medicines work equally well and produce the same side effect profile. In that case, CMA can be used to determine which drug is more economical. Another common example is comparing a generic medicine with a branded product. If their therapeutic effects match, the lower cost option becomes the preferred choice. Benefits and limitations of CMA. The main advantage of CMA is its simplicity. When two treatments offer identical outcomes, CMA makes the decision-making process quick and clear. However, the major limitation is that it cannot be used unless equivalence is firmly established. If outcomes differ even slightly, CMA is no longer valid, and other evaluation techniques must be used instead. Introduction to Cost-Benefit Analysis. Cost-Benefit Analysis, or CBA, is one of the most widely recognized economic evaluation techniques. It helps determine if the advantages of a treatment or healthcare program are worth the cost of implementing it. To do this, both the costs and benefits are converted into the same monetary units, usually based on the year they take place. By expressing everything in dollars, CBA allows us to judge the true economic value of a healthcare intervention. Understanding benefit-to-cost ratio. CBA presents its findings in various formats, such as a benefit-to-cost ratio or a calculation of net benefit. In practice, clinicians or policymakers prefer the option that produces the largest net benefit or the most favorable benefit to cost ratio. This makes CBA a valuable tool for comparing different healthcare programs or interventions. Interpretation of benefit to cost ratio. The benefit to cost ratio is the most commonly used indicator in CBA. When this ratio is greater than 1, it means the benefits outweigh the costs, and the program is considered economically valuable. A ratio of 1 indicates a break-even point, while a ratio below 1 suggests that the program costs more than the value it delivers. When to use CBA? CBA is especially useful when the financial costs and benefits arise at different time periods. It can be applied to a single healthcare program or used to compare several alternatives side by side. This flexibility makes it highly valuable for long-term planning and budget allocation. Limitations and challenges. One major challenge of CBA is the need to express health benefits in monetary terms. This is controversial because not every health outcome, like improved quality of life or reduced suffering, can be easily measured in dollars. As a result, CBA is applicable only when the benefits of an intervention can be realistically converted into monetary values. If this is not possible, other pharmacoeconomic methods should be chosen instead. Cost of therapies, drug A versus drug B. Here's a simple example of how cost-benefit analysis works in real decision-making. Drug A has a total treatment cost of 500 units, whereas drug B is slightly cheaper at 400 units. When we look at the benefits, such as improved productivity and extended life expectancy, drug A provides benefits worth 3,000 units, while drug B offers 4,000 units. When we calculate their cost-output ratios, we find that drug A gives a return of $6 of benefit for every dollar spent. But drug B performs even better, delivering $10 of benefit per dollar invested. So, based on CBA, drug B is the more economically efficient option. Advantages of CBA. One major strength of CBA is that it helps healthcare professionals make structured and evidence-based decisions. Since everything is expressed in monetary terms, it becomes easier to compare interventions even if their clinical outcomes differ. This makes CBA especially useful for policy decisions or when working with limited healthcare budgets. Disadvantages of CBA. Despite its usefulness, CBA also has some limitations. Healthcare outcomes are often complex and deeply personal, and reducing them to monetary values can be challenging or even controversial. Factors like improved well-being, reduced pain, or enhanced quality of life may be difficult to express in financial terms. Because of this, CBA may oversimplify situations where patient-centered outcomes matter most. Introduction to Cost-Effectiveness Analysis. Cost-Effectiveness Analysis, or CEA, is the method most commonly used in pharmacoeconomics. Instead of converting benefits into money, CEA measures effectiveness in natural terms, such as reduced symptoms, life years gained, or ulcers healed. It is particularly helpful when comparing treatments that provide the same type of outcome but differ in cost. How CEA works. CEA works best when treatments have similar clinical goals. For example, in patients with severe reflux esophagitis, a proton pump inhibitor might be compared with an H blocker because both aim to reduce acid-related symptoms. However, CEA cannot be used to compare completely unrelated treatments such as a diabetes therapy versus a chemotherapy regimen, because their clinical outcomes differ. Cost-effectiveness ratio concepts. Cost-effectiveness analysis becomes even more meaningful when we express results as ratios. The average cost-effectiveness ratio, or ACER, shows how much we spend for each unit of health gained from a single treatment. But in real-world policy decisions, the incremental cost-effectiveness ratio, ICER, is far more important. ICER tells us how much extra cost we pay to gain an additional health benefit when switching from one therapy to another. Health authorities in many developed countries rely on ICER values to decide which medicines should be included in national formularies or covered under public healthcare systems. Cost of therapies, drug A versus drug B. Now, let's apply CEA to compare drug A and drug B. Drug A costs 500 units in total, while drug B costs 400 units. But cost alone is not enough. We must look at the health outcomes they provide. Drug A gives 2.22 additional years of life, whereas drug B provides only 1.6 years. When we divide cost by health benefit, we find that each extra year of life costs 225 units with drug A, compared with 250 units for drug B. This means that drug A offers better value for money, even though it is slightly more expensive, because it delivers more health benefit per unit cost. Cost-effectiveness plane. On this slide, we are looking at the cost-effectiveness plane, which helps us compare a new treatment with the existing standard. The horizontal axis represents the change in cost. Moving to the right means the new intervention is more expensive, while moving to the left indicates that it costs less. The vertical axis shows the change in effectiveness. A shift upward means the new treatment works better, downward means it is less effective. Now, the plane is divided into 4 key quadrants. If the new treatment is less costly and more effective, found in the bottom right to upper left diagonal direction labeled dominates, it is clearly the superior option, offering better outcomes at lower cost. If it is more costly but also more effective, we evaluate whether the additional benefit is worth the extra cost. That's where the maximum acceptable ICER comes in, a threshold beyond which the added cost isn't considered justifiable. In the upper right area, the treatment becomes more expensive and less effective. This is the least desirable scenario. The new intervention is not only worse in outcomes but also heavier on the budget. Finally, in the lower left region, the treatment is cheaper but also less effective. Here, we need to decide if the reduction in effectiveness is acceptable given the cost savings, or if the loss in benefit outweighs the financial advantage. Overall, the cost-effectiveness plane helps decision-makers visually assess whether a new therapy provides good value for money and guides healthcare systems in choosing the most efficient interventions. Cost-utility analysis. Cost-utility analysis is a powerful method for comparing treatment options when both quality of life and patient preferences matter. In this approach, health outcomes are described using utility values, where perfect health is assigned a score of 1 and death is 0. To make decisions meaningful, we convert these utilities into QALYS, quality-adjusted life years, by multiplying the time a patient spends in a particular health state with its utility score. Costs are measured in money, but benefits are measured as improvements in quality and quantity of life. CUA is especially useful for evaluating long-term therapies or chronic illnesses where quality of life matters just as much as survival. The difference between treatments is reported as the cost per QALY gained. While this method gives a deeper understanding of patient-centered outcomes, it is also more complex. Measuring utilities, comparing QALYS across different populations, and capturing patient preferences accurately can be challenging. These difficulties make CUA used less frequently than other economic evaluation methods. Calculating QALYS. On this slide, we are learning how to calculate QALYS using a simple example. First, we look at the expected survival with treatment X, which is 10 years, and the quality of life score for those years is 0.7. Multiplying these gives us 7 QALYS. Without the treatment, the person is expected to live for 5 years with a reduced quality of life score of 0.5. That results in 2.5 QALYS. The difference between the two scenarios, 7 minus 2.5, is 4.5 QALYS gained because of the treatment. If the treatment costs 8,000 rupees, we divide this cost by the additional 4.5 QALYS. This gives us the cost per QALY gained, which helps us evaluate whether the intervention provides good value for the money spent. Cost-utility comparison. This slide compares two medicines, drug A and drug B, using cost-utility analysis. We start by adding up all cost components, the price of acquiring the drug, administration charges, monitoring expenses, and any costs linked with adverse effects. Drug A totals 500 rupees, while drug B costs 400. Next, we examine the outcomes. Drug A offers 2.22 extra years of life with a quality of life score of 0.33, giving us 0.73 QALYS. Drug B provides 1.6 additional years with a better quality of life score of 0.41, resulting in 0.66 QALYS. To understand which drug provides better value, we calculate the cost per QALY. Drug A costs around 685 rupees for each QALY gained, while drug B costs about 606 rupees per QALY. This comparison helps decision-makers determine which therapy offers more health benefit for the money spent. Humanistic evaluation methods. In this slide, we explore humanistic evaluation methods. These methods look beyond clinical outcomes and focus on how a disease and its treatment influence a patient's everyday life. This includes their overall quality of life, their personal preferences, and how satisfied they feel with the treatment. A key component is health-related quality of life, which reflects how patients themselves perceive the physical, emotional, and social impact of illness and its therapy. It helps us understand not just whether a treatment works, but how it affects the person behind the disease. These effects can show up as limitations in physical ability, emotional strain, or even social difficulties. To measure HRQOL accurately, specially designed questionnaires are used, allowing patients to share their own experiences directly. This patient-centered approach is becoming essential in modern healthcare decision-making. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. I hope it added clarity to the topic and helped strengthen your understanding. Your support truly motivates the creation of more educational content like this. If you'd like to explore more PharmD-related learning materials, see you in the next video.